So you're turning 65, but you're still working. What are we going to do about Medicare? Do we have to take Medicare? Do we defer it? What about the penalties that could be involved? All of these types of things sort of pop up when this time frame comes at turning 65. And then what is this whole deal about creditable coverage? What is it about? What does it mean? Why would it be important to me at 65? Let's jump into this real quick and talk about some of the facts that are involved with turning 65 and creditable coverage. And then we'll also talk about three different scenarios that I commonly see for folks that land in this position. So first off, creditable coverage is coverage that is considered as good as standard Medicare. Or on the drug side, it would be a group health plan whose actuarial value is equal to or exceeds that of a standard Medicare prescription drug plan. Now, you can actually look this up in detail at cms.gov under this code number. It does talk more specifics about creditable coverage, and that's a good place to do your own research for that. But creditable coverage is basically active employer insurance from an employer with 20 employees or more. There is sort of a weird rule that Medicare has about employers with 20 employees and higher and 19 and less. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But also TRICARE and federal benefits also land in that creditable coverage bucket. Now, what does not land in that bucket? What is not considered creditable coverage? It would be that employer group health plan from a small employer with 19 employees or less. It would also be COBRA, retiree benefits, and also VA benefits on the Part B side, none of which are considered creditable coverage by CMS, Center for Medicare Services. So again, why is this important? It's important because that person that's turning 65, we want to avoid penalties in the future. We do not want to make a bad decision at turning 65 and then say at 67, 8, or 9, or whenever it may be that we decide to retire, now all of a sudden we take a part of Medicare and we now get penalized for the rest of our life. We want to avoid that, certainly if we can. And being educated on those different options and the scenarios that we're about to go over could be the thing that helps that person avoid this type of trouble when they turn 65. So let's jump into the three different scenarios, starting with scenario one. Okay, here in scenario one, we have a person that is turning 65. They're working at a large employer, so an employer with 20 employees or more. They are on a group health plan and they do not have an HSA. So in this case, this person decided to take Part A only. Now, why did they do that? The purpose of that is they don't want to take Part B now because Part B has a monthly premium attached to it. And there's something that Medicare calls a coordination of benefits, which means if you have a group health plan that is considered creditable coverage, it is in the primary position, and Medicare would land in a secondary position behind that. In this case, this person felt like their coverage from work was excellent coverage, and they felt they didn't need to pay a premium for Part B that would land in a secondary position behind it. So they said, hey, we'll take Part A. Part A is not going to cost me anything monthly because they paid into the system through the 10 years of work or the 40 credits that's needed for Part A to be a zero premium. And they're like, hey, I'll defer Part B. And they can defer Part B because they have creditable coverage so that down the road when they do decide to retire, they will be able to do that penalty free. They had creditable coverage the entire time they deferred Part B, so they're good to go when they go to sign up later down the road. So that's scenario one. Let's get into scenario two. Okay, let's talk about scenario number two. We've got our person turning 65, working at a large employer, on a group health plan, but with an HSA, and they have now decided to not sign up for Medicare at all. So why is that the case? Well, this person knows that there's a rule that Medicare has that states that you can no longer contribute to an HSA if you have Medicare. Now, they're very comfortable with the plan they have. They want to continue to contribute to their HSA or have their employer contribute to that as well. And they're going to defer and not sign up for Medicare A or B right now. So the good news is they still have creditable coverage. So when they go to sign up at a later date, they'll be able to do so penalty free. Now, there's another little trick in there, which is if you have an HSA, you want to stop contributing to that HSA 6 months prior to your retirement if you're post 65. So in an example, let's say this person's 68, they've deferred for 3 years, they're now going to retire. What they want to do is 6 months before that date, they want to stop contributing to the HSA. And the reason for that is there's another tricky rule, so to speak. We call it the 6-month rule. Medicare could retro a person's effective date by 6 months. So then it would look like a person was contributing to their HSA while they were on Medicare, and you can be penalized for that. So that's something obviously we want to avoid. Okay, here in scenario number 3, we've got our person turning 65 working a small employer on a group health plan. Now this employer is considered small, so it has 19 employees or less, and so the rules are very different. Because of Medicare's coordination of benefits, Medicare would actually be considered the primary insurer, and a group plan would be considered secondary. So this is pretty much forcing the hand of this person that they have to sign up for Medicare A and B. And then most people in this position will go ahead and let their group plan go. And the reason for that is there's typically a cost associated with it. So they don't want to pay something monthly for something that lands in a secondary position. They would rather invest that money in a secondary or a supplementary to go along with their Medicare A and B. So in all 3 scenarios here, very different, but these are 3 of the most common ones I see. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. And I'm hopefully going to be bringing out some more information along these lines. So please follow for more.